All right, let's get into it, because the situation surrounding Christian Wilkins and the Las Vegas Raiders is turning into one of the strangest and most unexpected storylines of this offseason. Raider Nation is buzzing, insiders are scrambling, and every new detail that drops seems to raise more questions than it answers. So if you haven't been keeping up, don't worry, we're diving into every single twist that surfaced over the last few days. And believe me, there's a lot to unpack. It all starts with a report that came straight from an ESPN NFL insider during an appearance on the Pat McAfee Show, a show where we're used to hearing candid takes, but this one hit a little differently. According to him, an incident happened inside the Raiders' locker room last week that led to some serious internal fallout. The claim: Christian Wilkins, recently signed and widely respected for his energy and leadership, allegedly gave a playful kiss on the top of a teammate's head. Harmless, that depends on who you ask, because while Wilkins might have seen it as a joke, the teammate on the receiving end did not. In fact, he was so put off by the moment that it led to an official complaint being filed with the Raiders' Human Resources Department. Now let's pause right here. When something gets escalated to HR in the NFL, it's no longer just locker room drama. It becomes a matter with potential legal and organizational consequences. This isn't about team chemistry or a disagreement during practice. This is about workplace conduct, and depending on how the situation unfolds, it could have ripple effects not just for Wilkins, but for the team culture and leadership dynamic in Las Vegas as a whole. But what makes this situation even more bizarre is how unclear the full story really is. The original quote from the ESPN insider made it sound like the entire incident revolved around that one playful gesture, but multiple other sources, including former players and people close to the organization, have started pushing back on that version. Some are saying that what we're hearing now might only be the tip of the iceberg. According to several insiders with connections to current Raiders players, the locker room has been off for a few days now. The vibe shifted. Wilkins, who was once seen as a leader with strong support among his teammates, is now being talked about as someone who may have fallen out of favor in the building. Former Raider Jonathan Feliciano even weighed in, without revealing too much, by vaguely hinting that Wilkins has always been a little freaky. Now, whether that's just a teammate taking a jab or an indication of something deeper, we don't know. But when you add that to the whispers about a possible lawsuit being discussed behind the scenes, you start to get the sense that this isn't just about a kiss on the head. There's more going on here. The term final straw was even used during that ESPN segment, and let's be real, no one uses that phrase unless there's a whole string of incidents that came before. Final straw implies that something has been brewing for a while, and this most recent event just happened to be the last drop. So now everyone's wondering what really went down in that locker room. What other moments, if any, led to this situation spiraling to the point where the Raiders decided to part ways with a player as talented and impactful as Christian Wilkins? This is a guy who, until just recently, was being talked about as a foundational piece of this Raiders defense. The front office went out and got him to be one of the anchors under Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly's new regime. His motor, his energy, his locker room presence, all of it was praised publicly. Coaches liked him, players liked him, or at least that's what we thought. But clearly, something shifted, because once the pads went on and training camp hit full speed, the vibes started changing fast. And then the news broke: Wilkins was gone. Now, some are speculating that the current narrative, the one focusing on the kiss, might actually be a form of damage control. Maybe it's coming from Wilkins' side. Maybe it's an agent move. Maybe the organization is trying to limit public scrutiny until more facts are confirmed. But let's not ignore this. Pro Football Talk, a major outlet that often has its own insider network, came out and said flatly that the story making the rounds is not the kiss. They didn't say what it is, but the implication was clear. There's another version of the incident being talked about privately within league circles. And here's where things get messy, because now we're dealing with multiple narratives. On one side, you have the public-facing version, the kiss, the HR complaint, the awkward misunderstanding. On the other side, there are whispers about a more serious event, possible legal threats, and Wilkins losing the support of the locker room. And depending on which side of the fence you're on, you're going to view this story very differently. Let's zoom out a bit and talk about how this affects the team moving forward. Whether or not more information comes out, the Raiders have already made a pretty dramatic statement by cutting ties with Wilkins so early in his tenure. That's not a move you make lightly, especially when you've invested financially and strategically in a player you believed would lead the new culture. For Pete Carroll, who's known for building strong locker rooms and creating a competitive, positive environment, this situation is probably something he wanted to snuff out quickly. No distractions, no rumors lingering, just move on and get back to football, but it's not that easy. Because when you lose a player like Wilkins under these circumstances, it naturally raises eyebrows around the league. Other players, not just in Las Vegas, but across the NFL, are watching this unfold. They're wondering what really happened and whether this could have been avoided. And within the Raiders facility, you have to imagine that this kind of incident forces every player to reassess the dynamic. Trust in the locker room is everything, and now there's a fracture. Even if it's just perception. And again, let's not forget, this team was supposed to be building something new. With Chip Kelly installing his offense, with Pete Carroll bringing his culture from Seattle, and with guys like Max Crosby and Brock Bowers stepping up as key pieces, the momentum in Vegas was real. This Christian Wilkins saga doesn't erase all that, but it certainly complicates things. The fan base, of course, is split. Some are defending Wilkins, saying the media has blown this out of proportion and that the organization overreacted. Others are frustrated, asking why a player would jeopardize his role on a team by doing something that could be seen, even if unintentionally, as inappropriate. And then there's the group in the middle, just trying to figure out what the truth really is. Because right now, it's all foggy. What we do know is that the Raiders are investigating. A complaint was filed and insiders are openly talking about legal implications. That alone makes this story more than just locker room gossip. It's real. It's serious. And it's something that's going to hover over this team until more answers come out. As more details come to light, it'll be interesting to see if Wilkins addresses this directly or if the team does. Because right now, neither side is saying much beyond the insider reports, and when silence drags on, speculation fills the gaps. That's just how it works in today's NFL media landscape. For now, the focus shifts back to the field. Pads are on, training camp is in full swing. The team is trying to put this behind them and look forward, but make no mistake, this incident left a mark. It's a story that fans, players, and media won't soon forget. And depending on what else comes out, it could reshape how the Raiders handle locker room dynamics for years to come. I'll keep tracking every new update, every insider leak, every credible report, because this story isn't over, far from it. Now, while the Christian Wilkins story has dominated the headlines and left a thick cloud of uncertainty hanging over the Raiders facility, it's worth noting that life inside training camp hasn't exactly stopped. Pads came on for the first time, and with that, the energy at camp shifted dramatically. You could feel it. Players were flying around, coaches were animated, and for the first time this offseason, it looked and sounded like real football. And Raider Nation, if you're paying attention, there's a lot to be encouraged by. Because even though the Wilkins situation is messy, the product on the field, especially on the offensive side of the ball, is starting to show real signs of promise under Chip Kelly. Let's start with the offensive line, where all eyes were on JPJ after spending the past few practices working as the backup center. He returned to the starting unit as soon as the pads came on, and that's no small development. Because let's be honest, if JPJ is not starting on this line, something is seriously wrong with the way this coaching staff is evaluating talent. This guy is a top 5 offensive lineman on the roster, period. Seeing him back where he belongs was one of the biggest wins of the day. The offensive line as a whole looked more cohesive, more aggressive, and finally had the kind of physicality we've been waiting to see. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Las Vegas is buzzing with speculation after Malcolm Coons, the promising edge rusher, made headlines on social media following what many are calling a controversial departure from the Raiders. While official details remain scarce, fans and insiders alike have been dissecting every tweet, story, and comment linked to the player's sudden exit and what it could mean for his future in the NFL. The former Raiders linebacker, who showed flashes of brilliance during his tenure, seemed to hint at unresolved tension with the organization in a series of cryptic social media posts that surfaced just hours after news broke. Coons expressed frustration, gratitude, and what some are interpreting as subtle jabs at team leadership. Loyalty ain't always mutual, one post read. immediately sparking speculation about internal conflicts. Although neither the Raiders nor Coons have issued a formal statement detailing the reasons for the split, the timing of his exit, so close to training camp, has only fueled the fire. Analysts are now wondering whether deeper locker room issues are at play, or if this could simply be a strategic decision from both sides. Rumors suggest disagreements over playing time and scheme fit may have reached a boiling point behind closed doors. The noise has only gotten louder as whispers of interest from other franchises begin to emerge. Some reports suggest teams in need of pass rushing help, like the Panthers, Saints, or even the Steelers, are monitoring the situation closely. Coons, still just 26, remains a valuable asset with upside and a chip on his shoulder. Could this be the classic case of a player needing a fresh start, or is there more beneath the surface? One thing's clear, Malcolm Coons is no longer flying under the radar. Whether his next move is a redemption arc or another twist in the off-season drama, the NFL world will be watching. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.